We've just had the September New World developer update, and I have to say there were some massive things in it, and we're going to talk about 5 of them. Now, just a little confession, some of these have already been hinted at in the past and we sort of knew were coming, but some of it is fresh. And regarding fresh, very little news on fresh, so sorry to get your hopes up there. Anyway, let's jump into these 5 things. The first major thing I'm going to talk about is PvP Arena. Now, as far as I know, it's sticking with 3 versus 3, but what was revealed is that they're actually going to implement a solo queue and a group queue. They are separating the queues. Actually, probably not my favorite thing that they could have done. I would have preferred a joint queue that just prioritized solos versus solos, but I will take this. This basically means that if you're a solo PvPer, you can now queue up for Arena and you'll actually have fun. It would be great if we had a role selector along with that, but no actual information was really revealed at this time. There's also the issue that might arise about queue sizes. If you're on a populated server, then maybe you'll have a solo queue and a group queue popping all the time. If you're on a low populated server, that might not be the case. However, I'm not really sure there's any of those left at the minute. So really interesting things there. The next major thing is regarding raids, PvE raids. Now, there's a couple of interesting things that were revealed. Namely, they were looking at a party size of between 10 and 20. That sounds amazing to me. I'm really looking forward for that content. They also said that this content would be like the Elite PvE content as opposed to Wars being like the Elite PvP content. And I have to say that sounds really amazing. And it was basically confirmed that the worm that is in Brimstone Sands will be one of the raid bosses. No further details. Is it just going to be like one boss, or is it going to be like a massive sprawling dungeon of a raid? We literally do not know that information, and we sort of knew that raids were confirmed before this because they were hinted at in Asmongold stream and stuff like that, but here, officially, at some point, we are getting raids. Now, this went into the category of far into the future. My prediction, as I've said before, is probably that we're going to get a paid expansion, and I think raids will be in that paid expansion. Agree or disagree, it is what it is. Now, regarding about play and PvE content, the next thing is solo PvE focus. And now this is something that I've rambled on about quite a few times in the past, but basically if you're a solo player at the end game, there isn't that much to do, nothing of like real reward, and they said they're going to improve this area. There's a Baggins video that shows a solo PvE dungeon. That's not really like the right term for it. It's basically like a one boss fight, and it's part of the main storyline in Brimstone, but I think we're going to see more stuff like that, solo dungeons effectively, and I think we'll see more open world solo challenges where maybe you can go ahead and farm stuff. Really happy to see that. I know this is an MMO and you might be like, but it's an MMO and I want people to play with. Yes, but some people occasionally like to just play on their own, and it'd be really nice to just be able to log in and do some solo content. The next major thing that was revealed, again, we sort of knew this was coming, but that is mounts. Yes, they said that Brimstone Sands is big. We're going to do mounts. We don't know exactly when. We're working on it now, and therefore it's going to be released far into the future. Keep in mind that even though they're working on it now, this stuff takes time. And another thing that I think is going to be coming in the expansion is mounts. Like, just imagine that on the box. New World, paid expansion, mounts, raids, massive features. People will be like, yes. Some of you will be like, no, but we'll probably be able to live without you, unfortunately. And we're just going to class this one as the same kind of thing because, like, it actually probably should have gone with the raids, but loadouts are also coming. Yes, I'm not really 100% sure how that's going to work. They never gave any details. They also said that that was sort of far into the future, unfortunately. It'll probably come with raids, but it is what it is. Loadouts confirmed, not just data mined at this point, actually confirmed by a dev update, and that's very exciting to see as well. And then the last thing, which isn't really a game feature, but it's sort of hinted at how they will manage servers going forward. Now, as I said, there was no real information about Fresh. I think they may have said that we'll get information soon on the forum, but no real concrete information. My personal guess, by the way, is that with Brimstone Sands, there will be a Fresh server, maybe a week before, maybe after, but around then. However, what they said about servers is that I think it might be going to a more RuneScape-esque methodology. So they said they want to make it way easier to change server and quicker. Now, what I take that to mean, and this is not confirmed, they just said they want it to be easier to change servers, but what I think it will be is a way of changing the server from the main menu. So at the minute, if you want to change server, you actually have to log into your character and go into the world. Now, that's problematic if the server's like 1,000 person long, and maybe it's going to take 3 hours before you get into the game. Now, that figure might be a little bit off, but once we actually see Brimstone, maybe it's possible. So I think what they'll do is make it so you can change server in the main menu. It'll say, hey, hey, you're in a queue, do you want to go onto this server where there is no queue? Now they may or may not make it free. I suspect they make a bit of money from server transfers. Well, they obviously make a bit of money, I just don't know how much. So they may or may not make it free, and they may or may not have it with a cooldown. That much I obviously don't know. If they made it free without a cooldown, then it sort of feels like it becomes a lot like RuneScape, which a lot of people I've seen in the comments would actually like to see. I like the idea of being sort of semi-tied to your server, but I also don't really like how if you log on from, like, even maybe you've not played for a while and you're in a massive queue, then you can't do anything, you just have to wait. They sort of said that they were okay with queues as long as the queues were like 5 to 10 minutes, and I agree. I think, you know, if you're playing on peak night on Sunday, then a 5 to 10 minute queue is sort of acceptable, okay? So really interested in that feature, and I think that might come sooner than pretty much everything else, because I think this might come with Brimstone, even though the way that Katie was talking about it, it sort of sounded like it might still be being worked on. Now, one thing that actually isn't included in all of this is that they spoke about the frequency of content. Now, I keep mentioning about the expansion, but they said that they are going to take their time with updates and not rush. And that means that updates are going to be a little bit less frequent. And what I'm expecting is that we're going to see bigger updates less frequently. A little bit more like World of Warcraft when they have a proper content patch. It's significant. It's got a lot of substance to it. Does that mean that I was right when the expansion might get to like patch number 1.10? It might tick over to 2.0, maybe not. They could easily go to patch 11 if they wanted, but I don't necessarily think it would be unreasonable to say 2 absolutely major content filled patches in 2023 and then an expansion. Or if not 2, maybe they'll only do 3 or 4. Maybe they'll do one every 3 months. I think 3 months would maybe be a good cadence. So that didn't really fit in any category, but for me, those were the 5 major things that were revealed in the September developer update. Now, I was a little bit disappointed because a lot of it is them just talking about the good work they've done in the past, and sure, they have done a lot of good work, but you know, as somebody who's on the cutting edge of news, I can't help but want a little bit of more, but it wasn't to be. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below though. Thank you to the people who joined me on the stream. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much to you guys. We had like 600 people at one point. It was mega. And if you want to support the channel, becoming a YouTube member would be the best way. I got some new YouTube members, but obviously I've not had time to update you guys yet. I will do though, I promise. Have a most beautiful day. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.